Hello, welcome to my channel, and thank you for taking the time to watch this video. A lot of people don't care for history, but history needs to be told like a story if people are going to remember it. Um, Parents don't read their children bedtime stories using a lot of big words and a lot of words that are not common use. We historians, need to tell history in an interesting way that people can relate to. So this is a video, it's an introduction. Um, Egypt, the Hyksos, and Josephus, Ancient Connections, The Shadows of Lost History. This is usually the subtitle in a lot of my videos. And let's go to the next slide. So the man you see in the middle is Josephus, Flavius Josephus, and the book you see to the right, over here, no, over there, yeah, is the New Complete Works by Josephus, translated by William Mayer, and commentary by William Whiston, and commentary by Paul Mayer. And the two boys you see on that side, okay, are a representation of Ephraim and Manasseh. What do Ephraim and Manasseh and Josephus and Egypt have in common? So I've spent the last number of years trying to complete an MA in history. And for my final project, which was in July and August, my final project was the idea that Ephraim and Manasseh were the ancestors of the Hyksos. Who were the Hyksos? The country of Egypt has been conquered by four different countries or groups of people. The first were the Hyksos rulers, and they conquered, it seems unintentionally, mostly through economics. They were very economically successful. Then, of course, the Persians conquered Egypt, then the Greeks, and then the Romans. And that picture you see down there is just myself on a camel. There's no scholarly indications in that. So let's go to the next slide. So Josephus claimed that the Hyksos were his ancestors. The Hyksos means shepherd kings in one sense, but it can also mean captive shepherds. Okay, and that would describe the Israelites quite well. And you can see these two pages here on this slide, and they are two pages from the book by Josephus, the New Complete Works of Josephus. And in these particular two pages, he quotes from a Egyptian priest who was fluent in Greek. I should mention that Flavius Josephus lived from about 37 AD, 37 to 100. He was about 63 years old. And in this section, he's quoting an Egyptian priest, Manetho, who has no love of these Hyksos rulers we've talked about. And let's go ahead and go to the next slide. So in the very back, in the center, you can see a smaller version of the two pages, only they're marked up. And then you can see a smaller version of the book cover. On the over here, you can see a group of people. Some people have kilts on, others have a sort of tunic, and you can see two Egyptians, and there are some other people who are obviously involved in raising stock. And it's probable that perhaps this is what the Hyksos or the Israelites looked at. We don't really know, but it's the best representation. This is a representation or an embellishment of a tomb carving in Egypt. And so Flavius Josephus claims that the Hyksos were his ancestors. Now, I suppose for a long time in my academic search that the Hyksos were the Israelites. That's what I supposed. But I was mistaken, and I finally came to the conclusion, and I spent a lot of time in prayer on this and a lot of research in the country of Egypt. And it's my belief that the Lord showed me that um, that Ephraim and Manasseh were the ancestors of the Hyksos. The Hyksos were not the Israelites, but Ephraim and Manasseh were their ancestors. And Josephus, of course, being a Jew, he claims that the Hyksos were his ancestors also. So how can the Hyksos be the ancestors of Josephus, but not the Israelites? My theory of Ephraim and Manasseh being the ancestors of the Hyksos makes this work, because after Egypt, the descendants of Ephraim and Manasseh, and of course there was a lot of Egyptian blood there, married and intermingled with the rest of the Israelites. So it would then make sense that Josephus would claim that the Hyksos were his ancestors. And that's what he talks about in his quoting from Manetho, whose original book has been lost to history. So let's go ahead and read the first one on the side over here. The red line. Now this Manetho, in the second book of his Egyptian history, writes concerning us in the following manner. Now, he's going to talk about the Hyksos, and he claims that Manetho is writing about us, the Israelites. And the second one, it's a little smaller, but anyways, they built a city in that country which is now called Judea, and that large enough to contain this great number of men, and called it Jerusalem. So, Manetho claims, and Josephus agrees with him, that these Hyksos left Egypt and went to the land of Judea and built a city called Jerusalem. Now, it's worth noting that a lot of historians kind of, they take what Manetho says with a grain of salt, because there are some details that obviously are not correct, because historians know that the defeat of the Hyksos was violent and bloody. Manetho suggests it was a compromise, but the archaeology does not support that, and that's why a lot of historians take Manetho with a grain of salt. Let's go to the third one over this way. This is Manetho's account, and evident is from the number of years by him set down belonging to this interval, if they be summed up together, that these shepherds, as they are here called, who were no other than our forefathers, were delivered out of Egypt, and came from there and inhabited this country. So it's very clear. Josephus claims that the Hyksos were his ancestors. And this works because they would have descended from the two sons of Joseph's two sons, Ephraim and Manasseh, who were half Egyptian. I've taken time to look at various museums, to look at their artifacts, and one museum is the Met. I haven't been there. Another museum is the State Museum of Egyptian Art in Munich, Germany. I'm not going to try to pronounce that. And of course is the British Museum. That's the only one I've been to. And on the top you can see a representation of the two sons of Joseph, Ephraim and Manasseh. And the archaeological evidence points to their being the ancestors of the Hyksos. And over that way, you can see a man in a suit, quite dignified. That's Manfred Batak. He wrote the blue book under it, Avaris, the capital of the Hyksos. That book is full of archaeological references to the Hyksos. And so many of the references are true, make you think about the Israelites. For example, in the area of Avaris, which we believe is the biblical Goshen, there are thousands and thousands of animal bones, goat bones, sheep bones, cows, but not one bone of a pig have they found anywhere in all that area. And that is a colorful representation of a statue that was found at Avaris of that is a 9-foot statue. It's one of the very largest statues of someone who is not royal in all of Egypt. The remnants of that statue have disappeared mysteriously. And in the middle, you can see a paper drawing of the statue. So anyways, let's go on to the next slide. So my research has been based on a great amount of searching and reading of scholars. And there are about 30 scholarly sources for this. And I don't want to read all this. You can pause the YouTube video and read these if you want. But there's Olga Tufnell, Dr. Larry Ross, James T. Shotwell, Sir Alan Gardner, and Kim Ryholt, and of course Manfred Batak. And there are many others that I didn't include because this is an introduction video and I didn't want to take up too much time. But the research of all these gentlemen and this lady and others has shown repeatedly over and over again, has shown that the Hyksos really were the descendants of Ephraim and Manasseh. And you can see down there, that is in the bottom left corner, you can see a picture of, I believe, Karnak Temple. I went to Egypt and researched a lot of this. And I hope this has been an interesting video for you to watch. And there will be more parts later on, which I would like to produce, but I wanted to make this introduction first. And thank you for going on this journey with me. Have a great day, and I'll see you in the next video.